Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we will be doing another blind taste test rankings video. Now, the way that these work, for anybody that has not seen one of our previous blind taste test rankings videos, is we have 4 cups of coffee over here, and we have 4 bags of coffee over here. We're trying to identify which of these cups is which of these bags based off of taste alone. And we're going to be ranking them in order of our least favorites to our most favorite. And there's a theme behind each and every one of these videos, and the theme behind this one is the Right Roast's June edition of their coffee club, which they have titled The Champions. So for anybody not familiar with the Right Roast, this is a European subscription service that oftentimes offers some coffee roasters that are a little bit more difficult to access in the United States. And they have titled this one The Champions because all 4 of these coffee roasters have won some sort of coffee competition. So this will be a very interesting blind taste test for that reason. Let's go ahead and introduce the coffee roasters as well as the coffees, starting with Hasbean, which is based out of Stafford, United Kingdom. And the coffee that they have went with is the Chorrera, which is a wash-processed Colombian coffee. And this is my first time ever trying this coffee roaster, so that will be interesting. Next up, we have Casino Mocca, which is based out of Budapest, Hungary. And they have gone for the Dabaye, which is a wash-processed Ethiopian coffee. And this is my first time ever trying any Hungarian coffee, so that will also be interesting. Next up, we have Manhattan Coffee Roasters, which is based out of Rotterdam, Netherlands, and they're no stranger to this channel as we feature them quite regularly. One of my favorite coffee roasters in the entire world. They have opted for the Sweet Valley, which is a natural processed Colombian coffee. So surprisingly, that one might be the biggest underdog in this video, given that I don't particularly enjoy natural processed Colombian coffees. So we'll see how that turns out. And last, we have Audun Coffee, which is based out of, I want to try to say this as close to possible, Bydgoszcz, Poland. I hope that was at least a little close, but yeah, our first time ever trying any Polish coffee roaster. However, they have listed in their coffee roaster title Norwegian roast, and I believe that's because the roaster won some Norwegian roasting competitions, so should have a very Nordic profile to it. But let's go ahead and move these coffees out of the way so we can start shuffling these. And of course, as always, none of these cups are labeled anywhere except for on the bottom. We just like to shuffle them around for good measure. And this does give us an opportunity to discuss what we do have in our hands here. And I feel like this should be pretty easy for the most part. So the natural processed Colombian is the only natural we have on this table. And as a result, it will be the easiest one to pick out. And then I imagine that the Ethiopian is going to be pretty easy to pick out. So the only thing that might trip us up a little bit is the Peru and the Colombian. I expect maybe the Peru might be a little sweeter, and it's entirely possible, given that I have no familiarity with Hasbean, that their coffee might be a slight bit more developed than the rest of these coffees on the table, given that they are a British coffee roaster. So we will see what happens, and let's go ahead and start with this cup right here, cup number 1. Of course, I would pick up the natural processed coffee first. That's not bad for being a natural processed coffee. I know that this right here is the Sweet Valley from Manhattan, but you know what? That's actually coming out really, really nice. It's coming out a lot more clean than most natural processed Colombian coffees I've had. It does have that much more sweeter kind of fruit, even that slight grainy cherry quality to it, but for the most part, that is better than I expected, assuming that, of course, is the natural processed coffee, but I'm pretty sure it is, so it will go in that spot for right now. Cup number 2. And of course, now I picked up the wash-processed Ethiopia. Very light profiled coffee, that's to be expected. You know what? This might not necessarily be the Ethiopia. This is quite nice. It's got a great bit of sweetness to it. I think I was initially thrown off by the wonderful sweetness to it. There's wonderful sweetness, wonderful fruit, very much a caramelized sort of sweetness to it. I imagine it could be the Peru. I just basically thought off first impression because it had some very lively fruits to it that it could very much be the Ethiopia, but I think I was mistaken based off of that early impression. A couple more sips, really sugary caramel to it. That's really nice. I'm going to put that one in first place for right now. Not too surprising. Cup number 3. And this one's guaranteed to be the Ethiopia. This right here has got a wonderful peachy quality to it. I'm not surprised that all of these coffees are turning out really nice given the quality of coffee that it is in this competition. It is very light. All of these coffees have been pretty light profiled. The Colombian has been very much a natural processed Colombian. Not too surprising, I'm going to put the wash-processed Ethiopian in first place for right now. Wash-processed Ethiopians tend to perform really well in these videos. So clean, so fruity. It does help that it has a very sort of peachy taste to it. And cup number 4. And that's what I thought. I imagined that the wash-processed Colombian was going to be the most developed. This is the most developed cup of coffee on this table. I imagine that this is going to be the Hasbean coffee. It's got a very dark flavor to it. Very much a fair bit of this chocolate finish to it. It's all right. It's very British, I will say that much. So I think for that reason, I'm going to place it in last for right now. Let me go ahead and try these coffees one more time. I'm confident in what they are. That's the Hasbean. This is the Manhattan. That one right there is going to be the Audun. And then last we have the Casino Mocca coffee. It's still very natural processed Colombian tasting. So it's not going to be my favorite coffee, but I think it just barely edges out this wash processed Colombian. And I was really enjoying these two coffees off first impression. This does have a great bit of fruitiness to it as well. This coffee right here being a wash processed Ethiopian, if I'm confident on, should of course finish in that spot. All right, I'll go ahead and Casino Mocca, Hasbean, the Audun, and the Manhattan. Pretty straightforward. Let's see how we did. First up, I said the Hasbean coffee, wash processed Colombian, so it should say H on the bottom for Hasbean. Yep. And I think this goes to show just how easy it is to pick out British coffees compared to other European coffee roasters. Given that I was able to pick out that coffee just based off of a first impression, it just does feel a little bit darker than the rest, and it had a darker flavor profile to it. I would describe mostly a sort of darker chocolate finish to it, but in addition to that, a darker fruit base to it at the start. This one right here should be the Manhattan Coffee Sweet Valley, so it should say M for Manhattan, and it does. And I think it does help that I have a lot of familiarity with Manhattan's natural processed coffees in general, and I've had a couple of their natural processed or anaerobic Colombian coffees, and it very much tastes like them, but even then, it tastes like a lot of natural processed Colombian coffees in general. So yeah, another easy one to pick out. These two right here, I thought that these were really outstanding coffees. So this one right here should say A for Audun, and yep, A for Audun. This is a nice Peru. And based off of this first impression, this has potential to be my favorite Peru of the year. There is the Peru Geisha that I had from Say. That was really, really nice, but this one has wonderful potential too, mostly because it just was a really sweet cup of coffee off that first impression. And last we have the Casino Mocca, so it should say CM for Casino Mocca, and it does. Wash processed Ethiopian coffee. And while wash processed Ethiopians tend to be favorites going into pretty much every video, I think when they come out really, really peachy, they tend to perform exceptionally well. This one came off really peachy off that first impression. Slight bit grassy. I don't think that that's too surprising given that this feels like a very light profiled cup of coffee, especially maybe compared to something else that we do have on this table. So definitely justified in that first spot. This one has really strong Ethiopia potential, and I'm really harsh and critical of Ethiopian coffees, so I'm optimistic that this one might turn out really nice. But yeah, really easy, really straightforward, 4 for 4. This is how they finished for me. Not surprised by the results in any sense, but again, sometimes these taste tests are just easier than others. If you guys do enjoy these blind taste test rankings videos, give this one a like. As I always say, they're the most difficult to do. They take the most time, but they are by far the most fun to make. If you're enjoying the content in general, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And this right here has been a blind taste test rankings video featuring the Right Roast's June edition of their coffee club. Thank you for watching.